Right, yeah. So here we are at DebateCon 6 live in Nashville. And bear in mind, like I said, this was mere hours after me drinking more than I have in many, many, many years. So I think the fact that I'm standing...
He's already pulling the Sarah. Like how every time Sarah calls in or something, she's like, all right, guys, I'm just letting you know I'm sick as a dog. Or I'm just letting you know I have a migraine. That's what Craig's doing here already pre-coping, if you will. That's because because I'm already hungover. I already did a lot of drinking, and that's why.
Standing there is a pretty good thing
as well.
Hello. First off, I do want to say I'm a little angry at you cursing your husband into renting out an entire bar just to get me drunk before our debate. It's a little harsh. Conveniently, she didn't drink very much. Right, you ready to have some mansplained to you? Yeah, good. If I get... That was
one of my jokes. You ruined it already.
If I get hungry, you can go to make me a sandwich, okay? Right. Morning, everyone. How you doing?
I was worried about that, right? Because, yeah, it's very topical things I was saying. You know, this about feminism, so I was making fun of it by, like, treating her like a pathetic little woman. You know, gonna have it mansplained, maybe a sandwich. But, of course, this is the right-wing crowd that are, you know, totally against everything that I normally say. So I was worried that those jokes were going to fall completely flat. But I got laughs, and I got claps, and I did like it.
See, the way Craig tells the story, it was like the room was like, ah, Craig, that was hilarious. Yeah, go Craig. You know, that was in his mind, but in reality, he got a lot of, you know, but the way he tells it, it was like, oh my God, Craig, dude, you go, bro. You go, girlfriend. Sorry, queen.
Oh, Borg, don't worry. We're going to get to the last guy. I don't think he'll be in this video. Yeah, I think he was probably cut out, to be honest. Yeah.
I am here today to debate the lovely Rachel Wilson, who's written a book claiming feminism was basically invented by witches, CIA spies, and probably a couple of magic mushrooms along the way. If that sounds less like history and more like the rejected script for Stranger Things Season 5, then you're not wrong. Let's be clear, feminism is not an occult ritual. It's not a CIA psyop. It's definitely not a satanic plot to overthrow the nuclear family. It's the...
Yeah, I fluffed the...
Craig even interrupts himself. He can't help it. He has to interrupt. But that's a good point, John Smith. Yeah, it kind of shows how him being surprised that people laughed at his jokes, just how sterilized his site is. Yeah, I know, right? Like, he probably thought, like, because, yeah, definitely, if you would have said something like that in a room full of lefties, oh, my goodness, dude, he would have been like, boo, fuck you, get off the stage. But it shows that, you know, the right, we could take a joke, you know? He probably wasn't expecting that.
Fine, I know.
Radical idea, well, radical back then, not really now, that women are human beings who should have the same rights as men, and that's it. It's not hard, it's not mystical, and it's not demonic. Before feminism, women couldn't vote, own property in many places, or even have their own bank accounts without a man's permission. In the 60s, women in the UK could be fired just for getting married.
JSS Tiger says for $10, it's hard for me to watch a woman self-depreciate. What kind of message does it send to young girls when you tell them what they can't do? Well, that's Rachel's whole stick, is like, you can't do that. You're a woman. And she owns it. Whereas we find the fact of telling a woman they can't do that reprehensible. For Rachel Wilson's like, nah, they can't do it. They're a weak, little, pathetic woman. Rachel's in...
Well, that's not the argument. It's not that, oh, they're just weak, pathetic women. But no, that's your group of people that thinks it's wrong to tell women that. It's your belief system that tells you that, your preferences. We're allowed to tell men they're not allowed to do things all day and night. But if we dare tell women they shouldn't do something, that's causing harm. That's harmful. That goes against human flourishing.
Entire argument is, oh, men big muscles. I mean, they're right. Look at these fucking guns, right? Men big muscles. Therefore, you know, Earth. No, wait, hold on. Men big muscles.
It doesn't show. It doesn't. I checked Ben. It doesn't show that he's banned or anything. So I don't know what's going on there. It's weird.
Therefore, they give pretty little dumb weak woman their rights. Rachel's argument is that us strong men with our benevolence have bestowed upon you these rights because we decided that we could, or that we wanted to, because of course we could, and we could take them away if we want. And what are you going to do? Attack us? Ha, pathetic woman. I'll just backhand you. No problem.
Maybe change the settings, everyone, to the top to it always goes to top chat, but put it on live chat. Try that. Popping in and out of vertical chat, it should be showing. Oh yeah, that's weird. I don't really see you in the vertical chat. All right, well, let's continue.
Only have rights because us big strong men allow you to have the rights. That's her argument, is that women are just weak compared to men.
Well, they
women
are.
aren't as strong as men. Therefore, any rights that women have is a lie because the men could just take those rights away.
Well, yeah, it's force. What is it? Might makes. You know, it's not just women it affects. It could affect anyone that's not as strong. It's not just like a woman thing, but it's true. But they get so butthurt over this fact, like they don't want to accept it, but it's just the truth.
Oh, Rachel, she is a mother many times over and a homeschooler. Euromop says, what time tomorrow, brother? Probably about 10, 11 p.m. UK time. Do you want to come and join me? PhD Tony says, Planet Peterson suggests his online persona is an act. Jo concludes he is therefore scamming his followers. Yeah, well, FTFE is an act, right? But I'm pretty sure you guys are smart enough to realize that. I mean, what you're seeing on stage here is more me. Warm-hearted, witty, humorous, not as much of a dick. Skeptic, not too sure of her vaccination beliefs, but I would not be surprised.
That's so funny. I just like this image that Craig has him. So witty, warm-hearted, fun-loving, you know, just lovable Craig.
Yes, marital rape wasn't fully criminalized until the mid-90s, and that's not ancient history. That's pretty much yesterday. Rachel will claim things like women didn't even want the vote. Great claim, zero evidence. The moment women could vote, they turned out in huge numbers. The historical record is full of church women, union women, activist women, mothers, teachers, nurses, ordinary women organizing for suffrage. If your argument relies on pretending they didn't exist, then your argument is dead on arrival. Should also tell you feminism makes women less happy. Also, zero evidence. No serious study shows women were happier when it had no legal autonomy, no financial independence, and no...
Yeah. Rachel's big thing, or one of the big things, is that women didn't want any rights anyway. They were happy being little housewives with no autonomy and stuck in abusive marriages and, you know, basically treated like unpaid. They were much happier back then. All the women in the chat, give me a 1 if you agree with Rachel Wilson. Give me a 2 if I'm a sexy motherfucker.
I wonder how many 2s he got. Imagine giving people that choice in your chat. 1, if you agree with Rachel, and 2, if I'm sexy. Like, imagine they're sitting there like, well, I don't agree with Rachel, but I also don't find you sexy. I know, right? Get 1s in our chat.
Rick 2 Bits, member for 50 months, says, why is Rachel even attempting to debate a man? I know, isn't that like...
Thank you very much, Ed, for $10 for the grift on my brother. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your kind words about my moderation. Very much appreciated, brother. Thank you for your support.
Totally against feminism. It's in my intro.
No escape from abusive marriages. Even if someone digs up one cherry-picked graph from a think tank that hates women working, happiness is complicated. You can't just...
Wait, he called push-ups press-ups? Well, maybe that's how they do it over there in... I think he lives in Scotland. Maybe that's how they do it over there in Scotland, right? Press ups. Ugh. One of the bizarre language things, you know? They call quarter pounders with cheese royale with cheeses. They call push-ups press ups.
Point to modern
Those Europeans, am I right?
stress and say, ah, yes, must be the equality that did it. That's the way astrologists think. And then there's my favorite, the forced doctrine argument that Rachel and Jim Bob and Jake all love, that men are stronger. Ooh, look at my
They all
muscles.
love.
Therefore, we have given women rights out of benevolence. No, rights weren't given. They were won. Women organized, protested, lobbied, marched, starved themselves, chained themselves to railings, got arrested, got beaten, got force-fed, and refused to shut up.
Women not shutting up, who would have fucking fought, right?
Dude. It's fucking Craig. Craig's supposed to be defending women here, and he's making comments like that. Women not shutting up, right? Right? Those annoying ass women. Nag, nag, nag. Am I right, boys? But by the way, those right wingers, aren't they sexist?
Yeah, the thing is, women got their rights, and I'm going to be frank here, because they're fucking stubborn. Men went, no, you can't have rights. They went, yes, we can. They went, no, you can't. They went, yes, we can. And we're going to sit over there and not eat until you give us the rights. And the men went, but no. And they went, well, what are you going to do about it? We're going to hit you. Okay, hit me. Okay. Then they got hit. The women were like, now what? I still want my rights. The men went, no. Right, we're just going to do marches and disrupt your businesses then. But I mean, I don't want to give you the right. Well, we want them. Keep giving us the rights, please. But I mean, fine. Women are stubborn. They're going to get the rights because they fucking wanted the rights. Rights weren't given, they were won.
Yeah, no, you're right, Jan. Yeah, his whole argument is still men giving women rights. Yeah, at the end of the day, even if it was through constant nagging and being stubborn, we still gave in and gave it to them. So they still had to rely on us to give them the rights. So that doesn't debunk your claims, Craig.
Jimbo Slice says, I watched it. Craig got absolutely wrecked. Jimbo, you remember the parts where Rachel said all the things that women can't do, and I pointed out the things that women can't do that she's saying that the women are actually doing, defeating her entire argument over and over and over.
If feminism were just men being sweethearts, it wouldn't have taken 100 years of fighting to get a ballot paper. And here is the actual kicker. When societies give women equal rights, things improve. Education goes up, domestic violence actually goes down. Health outcomes improve, poverty shrinks, economies grow faster. Every major organization on earth, from the United Nations to the World Bank, backs that. The only people who don't are YouTube commentators who type with one hand while Googling how to talk to women. Rachel will tell you,
which is probably quite a lot of the right wingers.
I like how he's all proud of himself for that joke. He's all giving that was funny, right? Yeah, because see, they don't get laid. They're incels. First time ever someone's ever made that joke.
To be honest, a lot of them want this trad wife, right? They think that women should be subservient little creatures, and they won't settle for anything apart from that. So a lot of them are actually 30-year-old virgins, whereas I've respected women my whole life. I grew up with an amazing mother and two amazing sisters.
What about a father, Craig? Where was your father? That explains a lot there, Craig.
I learned to fucking respect women for what they are. Stubborn dicks that keep you alive. And then I married a woman. And I realized that, yeah, they're all like that. They're all stubborn cunts. Just trying.
Remember, this is the guy that's supposed to be defending women. That's his defense. Yeah, but without women being stubborn cunts, we would have died out a long time ago.
And make sure the men don't die. Because without the women in our life, us men would all be dead 1,000 times over. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times that Emma has stopped me saying or doing something stupid.
Well, she's not doing that good of enough a job, Craig. If her job is to stop you from doing stupid things, she's not doing that great of a job. You're still doing stupid things like debating.
Gem Custom Gamer says, I watched this. It was a no-brainer, really. You had the audience stacked against you, but can you imagine anyone in Scotland trying to debate this? Our culture is just way different. Yeah, it would have been a totally different scene. I think I won.
Of course you do.
Rubix is right. Some may have been happy, but feminism grants the choice. Yeah, you women, you are fucking dicks, Ragebot. You know that, right?
Feminism is a conspiracy, that it's witches, demons, elites, CIA culture warfare, goddess worship, you name it. But here's the truth. Movements with millions of participants over 100 years don't start with a seance. They start with injustice. Feminism didn't appear because a demon whispered it into somebody's ear. It appeared because women were sick of being treated like unpaid labor with no rights and no escape. And look, credit where it's due. Rachel wrote a fantastic book, which is actually a great example of feminism working. A woman publishing, speaking publicly, influencing society, debating ideas on stage. That is feminism in action. She's literally doing the thing that says women, that she says women shouldn't be doing. Rachel, you are your own feminist success story.
And that's the kicker of my argument. That won it for me, right? Without feminism, yeah, there was women that would talk and stuff and, you know, whatever, but men didn't care about that. Oh, silly little girl, sit down. Blah, 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 blah. Feminism.
Is that how it was, Craig? Were you there? Is that how it was? A woman would just say something like, "Oh, shut up, woman." Blah 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 blah.
Hasn't just changed what women can do; it's changed the attitudes around women for the majority of sane people, of course. So most people now, if there is a woman talking on stage, they're not going to be dismissed by the men. More people are going to listen. And that's why.
Well, what's funny too is that this is a room full of right-wingers, right? Us misogynist right-wingers. And yet here we are listening to Rachel. We're not telling her, shut up, stupid bitch. Get off the stage. Go make us a sandwich. Am I right, guys? Take off your top. Like, we're not doing that. You know, we're accepting of her. And so if anything, it shows that, you know, it should show Craig here that it's not just about misogyny.
Rachel had a big crowd there of mostly men who, of course, were agreeing with Rachel, saying that women should be a little subservient little thing to you. Oh, bless my little heart. And look at me so weak and tiny. Right? And of course the men there were agreeing with her. Because they're morons. They're right-wingers. They don't understand that women want the opportunity. There might be the minority of women will be like, oh, I don't want rights and I want my man to be the be all and end all. But most women do not.
And why is that, Craig? Why is that? Why is that?
Jimbo Slice calling people weak and feminine. Dude, sit down. I could bench press you.
Feminism gives us female doctors, astronauts, scientists, prime ministers, Nobel Prize winners, and I mean real ones, like Marie Curie, Toni Morrison, Mala, I probably pronounced some of these names wrong, Mara Yousafzai, and Tu Youyou. It gave us leaders like Margaret Thatcher, Angela Merkel.
Now, Andy, don't Jiffy Cone, don't play whack-a-troll. Just call them an idiot a bunch and point out that, you know, women are not little slave creatures. They are humans with rights.
I like this dichotomy that if you take away, say, voting for women, and all of a sudden they're slave creatures, pretty much. It's like they have to have they have to have the voting, and they have to have everything, or else they're slave creatures. It's like, okay, well, if you know, children don't have the right to vote, right? Or do we consider them slave creatures? Do we consider a 17-year-old a slave creature? Like, it's not this like false dichotomy that he's trying to paint.
Thanks a lot. Andy says women's rights should never have been up for debate. Nobody has a valid reason to deny them. Rachel says she does because she says forced doctrine is a thing, which means that men big, strong, therefore women have rights because we say so.
Jacinda Ardern and trailblazers like Katherine Johnson, whose maths put humanity on the moon. And let's be honest, it's also give us wives who roll their eyes at their husbands but still keep us alive. Behind every great man, there is a woman with her arms crossed, waiting for him to finally admit that she was right all along. So, Rachel, you can talk about witches, conspiracies, pagan goddesses, shadowy elites, CIA plots, all you like. I will stick to history, evidence, and basic reality. Feminism isn't optional. Equality isn't optional. And women being amazing, capable, brilliant human beings is also not optional. If that bothers you, well, tough. Equality is happening with or without your permission.
Thank you very much
Come on, woo, raise the roof.
for that opening as well. We'll jump right into.
A clap from the right wingers.
I wanted to.
Yeah, but I thought the right wingers were all a bunch of idiots. He was calling that room idiots earlier, remember? But now they're all clapping for him. Well, what does that say about you, Craig? A bunch of idiots are clapping for you.
Quick.
But look. Look at the audience.
Behind every was right all along. CIA plots isn't a human being without your permission.
I see one woman there. Just here. All men. Here's Will Duffy. Right here. You can see Will watching me. There's all men. Of course they like her. Look at the pretty blonde girl on stage. Of course they're going to like this pretty gorgeous little blonde girl is standing there going, women should just do what the men say and be at home ready for sex whenever they want. Of course the men are going to love that.
So, okay. Well, now he's admitting that there's female privilege? Well, what is it?
There was some women in the audience. The majority were not. Thanks, Andy says, I sounded still drunk. Hey, I think if I sounded drunk, I pulled it off pretty fucking well, right? Jimbo Slice says, FTFE must be turning into Flat Esther, whatever that is. Because I didn't say that is my opinion. I said she won the debate. You aren't equipped to make the argument. Well, that is your opinion. It's your opinion that she won the debate. Your opinion is wrong. Objectively, I won the debate. I had the better arguments. I had the better rebuttals. I had her on the ropes constantly, having to shift her position and move the goalpost over and over and over. I took the hostile audience that were against me and put them on my side. They laughed with me. They clapped for me. They were on my side. So I won that debate as far as I'm concerned. And if you say that I didn't, well, that means you're fucking moronic.
Dude, I first heard that. I was like, Craig, yeah, I was like laughing. And I was like, wait, Craig's being serious. He's saying it with this straight face. He really sat there, looked straight into the camera, and was like, I objectively won. I had the crowd on my side. I had her on the ropes. I was making the better arguments. Like, this is the world that Craig lives in. Maybe he really battles the flat earthers because maybe he sees a little bit of himself in the flat earths, you know? The flat earthers believe in nonsense. He also believes in nonsense. He also lives in this delusional world, you know? No way he actually believes that, dude. I don't know, man. He might be that delusional. I may be a retard, but Craig is a retard, yeah. Flat earthers are retarded too. Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Maybe he sees a little bit of himself. And Craig hasn't let himself speak either. Yeah. Craig even interrupts himself. They clap, so he won, apparently. Yeah, he doesn't know that was like a polite clap, not because, yeah, go Craig. Yeah, you totally fucking changed our minds. What debate was he at? I know, right? Like, what debate was he at? In his world, everyone was like, yeah, Craig, holy fucking shit. Mind fucking blown. Yeah, you know? And they're like, damn, fuck Rachel. You know what I mean? Like, that was in his world. In his world, they like carried him on his shoulders and was like, Craig. And he's like, yes.
Tomorrow we will go over the entire debate, and You Are Mopped is going to join me. I'm going to see if Max can join me as well.
For the maximum coat. You can't have maximum coat without Max there, so that's appropriate. Yeah, true, that happened. Yeah, exactly. And everybody clapped. Yeah, I know, right? Craig is literally doing an everybody clapped meme. You know? See anything left of this cope right here?
Apparently, there's something to do with flatzoid wanking going on as well. Jimmer Slice says flat earther as in big hands that cover multiple letters simultaneously. Okay, then, if you say so, dude.
All right. So I wanted to watch that first and show you guys, because that's how he thought the debate went. Now let's actually see how the debate went. Let's see if it really went how let's see how it really went. See if it matches up with Craig's recollection of events, shall we? I'm going to press X to doubt, but you know what? You never know. Maybe he's right. Hey. I could have sworn they put it out. Let me see. Yeah, here it is.
If there is.
All right, let's see. So let's keep that in mind. Keep his cope in mind, all right? Let's see if that's what really happened. Let's see if he really owned Rachel. I watched it and it didn't go Craig's way at all. Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured, but you know what? Who knows? I won't give spoilers, but it's definitely worth the watch. Start counting the claps, chat, so we can see if Craig really did win. Yeah, I know, right? Do you have reds under the bed? No, but I got bags under the tags. There is a lesson in all this. Never cope to your own debates. It makes your position much weaker. Yeah, it really does. It really does. The cope sessions aren't worth it. We need a cope counter for Craig. I know, right? Seriously. All right, guys, let's do this. But before we do, make sure you like that stream, ladies and gentlemen. There's a few gays. I see a few gays in the chat, so you gotta do something about that. I'm just trying to save you from sin. All right, trying to save you from sin. I don't make the rules. And also hit that subscribe button if you're new here. I put out new videos every day, and also I live stream Monday through Fridays. And also too, how are we doing on the goal? On the horizontals, we're about halfway, and then we got 2 on the verts. Let's get those donos up, shall we? But let's get this show on the road.
Which is not accurate. It's actually a logical fallacy to do that. So when
Wait,
Craig
what's the logical
says things
fallacy?
like hold them down, it could be that there were good reasons for things being the way they were for all of human history up until 100 years ago. So what you're going to find is that all of these arguments against feminism rely on framing. They rely on the fallacy of presentism, which is where we look back at history with our present eyes and our present ideals and judge it, which is not accurate. It's actually a logical fallacy to do that. So when Craig says things like, oh, women couldn't have, their own bank accounts or their own credit cards, do you guys think there could be a practical reason for this, or was it just men are mean and they don't want women to have money? In fact, there was a practical reason. And when he talks about laws being unequal during this time, he's right, because men were held to the standard of maintaining their families and supporting them. These laws were called breadwinner laws, which were, men could go to jail if they deserted their families or didn't support them, and only men could be held liable for debt. So the way it worked was, maybe you couldn't have a credit card in your own name as a woman because you usually weren't employed. You had someone taking care of you and paying your bills. So you could get on your husband's account at the department store or the grocery store and spend his money. You could run up the debt, but they couldn't hold you legally liable for it. He had to pay the bill. Sounds like a pretty good deal. I'd take that. So, and the same thing with women losing their jobs. This was a common thing. These were marriage bar laws. So if you were a teacher, it most often applied to teachers, they would have in your contract that once you got married, your job would be terminated. But once again, there was a good reason for this. They said, well, you're married, so your husband can support you, you're taken care of. We want these teaching jobs held open for young women who are not married yet, for widows, For older women who've never married, we'd like them to have the teaching job. So again, it's framing to make it sound like women were victims of something when really it was the patriarchy taking care of them, and things were logically done this way for the good of everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great response from Rachel there. Yeah, because that's how the lefties always paint it as. They always paint it as, it was just men just being like, well, we're going to keep rights away from you, because we're the big bad man. And that's not the case. There were practical reasons, which none of them like to acknowledge or even try to research. So you just think that, oh, we pretty much were just mean to women up until like the 70s or some shit. Thank you very much, Make Australia Great Again, for the $5 dono for the gold. Thank you very much, brother. And thank you too very much, Ed, for $10. Australia's not real. It's a myth. Well, thank you very much for that, Ed, for your donations. And thank you all for your donations so far. It's amazing. Amazing. And yes, also don't forget to hit that like button.
Switch it into about 90-second responses. Go ahead, Craig.
So your claim that women didn't want the vote is the numbers disagree with you. In the United States, 2 million plus women were members of the National American Women's Suffrage by 1917. On the other side, the anti-suffrage women's group had around 350,000 members at the same time. And even historians say that number is probably inflated. That's like 5 to 1. 1913, Washington, D.C. suffrage parade had 8,000 women. You don't just get marches in the streets without there being actual people there. In the United Kingdom, the National Union of Women's Suffrage Societies had over 50,000 women members by 1914. The WSPU, the suffragettes, had thousands more. Many were jailed, beaten, and force-fed. In the 1907 Mud March, had over 3,000 women publicly marching in the rain. Like, that was massive for the time. Meanwhile, the largest anti-suffrage women's group peaked at around 20,000 and then collapsed and merged with some men's organizations. So the reality is that women did want the vote in enormous numbers in organized structures over decades in every country where suffrage was won. Your claims require pretending that the marches didn't happen, the arrests didn't happen, the hunger strikes didn't happen, the petitions didn't happen, the letters weren't written, the organizations weren't real, the documents in the archives aren't there. That's just kind of erasing history, nothing else. The idea that women never wanted the vote collapses the moment you open an actual history book. In the US, over 2 million women proved that fact.
So again, we're relying on framing here. So you might notice he said, oh, by 1917.
By the way, I like that they're keeping it timed responses because, Craig does like to interrupt a lot. So it's really good that they did that in this format.
There was more membership in some of the pro-suffrage organizations than the antis. Yeah, because and this was not the case for decades running up to this. It was flip-flopped. And what happened is Cornelius Vanderbilt, Alva Vanderbilt Belmont, and some other rich benefactors paid to plump these numbers up. They paid money and funded this whole thing and created giant propaganda campaigns. They created newspapers, pamphlets, and kind of pushed everything that way. So no, it wasn't that women all got together and did this. It was a handful of people who pushed the propaganda, much like we see now when there's marches and people are being bussed in by NGOs and being paid by George Soros to show up and protest. This is true with almost every social revolution, by the way. It's almost never grassroots. If you go back and look, there's usually CIA or intelligence asset involvement, very rich billionaires who are funding these things, and they'll just monopolize the propaganda and push it and push it and push it for decades until they get seemingly enough people on board. So again, this is just a logical fallacy to say this was a groundswell of grassroots movement.
Rachel, quick question. You cite women's anti-suffrage groups, but if women never wanted the vote, why did they need an anti-suffrage movement?
Because they were opposed to suffrage for multiple reasons. They thought it was going to corrupt the family, pit man and woman against each other. They didn't want to have to be involved in the draft. They didn't want to have to do jury duty. They said, we can't secure the government. This is what I said in my opening. We can't protect the borders. We can't go off and fight wars. We can't protect persons and property. They said, this is the point of government. If the point of government is to protect persons and property, and we're not capable of doing that, why would you task us with such a thing? So maybe you can answer that.
Well, the follow-up question is, why were the anti-suffrage groups always of lower numbers and
They
decline?
weren't. That's
The-
not true.
the-
In the
this is
United
the-
States, they had much higher membership numbers up until about 2 to 3 years before they passed the
The
19th.
data really doesn't show that. The historical records entirely disagree with that statement.
It's not true. I have multiple citations in my book and
I know
in
you do.
articles that I've written.
So your book is wonderful. I've read it several times, and the first red flag
Has
for
he?
me was that it's a 170-something page book with only 30 citations. No credible academic source would have less than 30 citations in a paragraph. So, and your
What?
citations, when you actually dig into them,
So what? So wait. In Craig's view, like what? Every sentence in the book has to have a citation in there? Like what the hell? What's Craig talking about here?
every single one of the citations that you used in your book were diametrically opposed to the points that you were making. You are extremely good at cherry picking data, almost like a flat earther.
That's actually not true
Uh,
either. Again, we're relying on framing. So if you go read my book and you look at the source material, I take the writings of feminists themselves, like I just did with Susan B. Anthony. I quote the very women who were at the front lines of this, the ones who were usually bought and paid for and propped up to be the face of this movement, by the way. And they tell you themselves. Susan B. Anthony said, women don't want this. They have it too good. They have everything they want. They can go to college. So he said a lot of stuff in his opening that was also incorrect. Women were never legally barred from education. We had women's universities already in the like 1800, in 1870. We had many of these institutions. It's true that there were a few Ivy League schools that didn't let women in, but so what? This is not some systemic oppression.
You are
right?
I do agree with those points that
Yeah, and they
a
were
lot
allowed
of
to
this stuff
work
about
and they were
feminism
allowed
is-
to have property. And just because, here's the thing, every time we look at women having any limit put on them, we pretend as though that was not true for men as well, and it was. So he said women didn't have the vote. That's true. Did you know that men only got the right to vote about 10 years before women did? All men couldn't always vote. And people just assume this because it's always framed and presented this way, as though all men had all the rights and no women had any rights. And it's simply just historically inaccurate. Women had all kinds of rights. Men took very good care of them. And this is one of the reasons they did cite wanting to be anti-suffragists, because they said, look, we have protection and provision right now that we're going to lose if you try to make us equal with men. We don't want to go out and work 40-hour weeks and raise kids and be in government and politics and have to vote in opposition to our own husbands. We don't like this idea. We think it's going to break up families, and that's what we care about.
Well, I disagree that it breaks up families. I've got actually quite a lot of data.
You know what's funny too is that even by Craig's own cope, where he's like, where he was saying women, pretty much keep us from doing stupid shit and blah blah blah. Oh, you mean like women take care of us and stuff? Like, yes, women are protective. Yes, women also do stop us from doing stupid shit. I mean, that is all true. It's almost as if that's what they're in nature to do. But Craig doesn't want women to do that. He doesn't want them to do that. He wants women to go out and be girl bosses. He wants women to go out and go to college and take out these useless degrees and have all this debt and stuff and sleep around with a ton of men, have a lot of kids out of wedlock if they want. Like, that's what Craig wants. That's what Craig is encouraging here.
On the when you were talking about child neglect and things like that, and yes, it's the rise of feminism is also the rise of that, but it's also the rise of Pokemon. There's been a rise of child neglect. You're doing a correlation, not causation thing there, and I'd love to actually go through the data with you.
They always say that.
I really want to.
When it doesn't match what they're when it doesn't match what they're saying, their worldview, then they say, well, correlation doesn't mean causation.
Talk to you about your book because I did enjoy it a lot, honestly. But you just can't erase the fact that millions of women fought and marched and protested. Saying that women didn't want the vote is ignoring the fact that women were marching in the street saying we want the vote.
Some women, a minority of women. So what?
Wasn't a minority.
It was a minority.
There was also a lot of women that wouldn't voice it, that they wanted it
because
they were in the position of, well, my
dude, that's so lame. So now it's like, so Rachel's like, well, I was a minority of women. He's like, well, there was just a lot of women that didn't speak out. So it's like, well, source, Mr. My data, they're all about the data, but then they'll put out claims like that. Well, women just didn't want to voice it. Okay, source.
Man maybe doesn't want me to vote, so I'm going to say that.
That's not what Susan B. Anthony said. She said that
that's
if
one
women,
person.
by the way, this is the other
Oh, now
great
it's one
criticism
person.
everybody has of me is that I'm a feminist because I wrote a book, or I'm a feminist because I'm here speaking to you. Again, 1902, Susan B. Anthony said women are allowed to speak in public. Women can write books. If we go back to the late 1700s, there were feminists writing polemics, touring, being single moms, right? Mary Wollstonecraft was a single mother who was paid to tour Europe and talk about feminism. She was paid to write. She made a living for herself off of writing about feminism in the late 1700s. So this idea that women couldn't do these things, it's a logical contradiction because they had to do those things to even get feminism going.
Okay, noise. Sorry, I was getting
James is pretty freaking swole.
a bit of feedback out to those.
But if you hold your mic up
Yeah.
closer, you won't have to.
James is like busting out of his freaking, like bursting out of his freaking dress shirt.
Boost your audio.
Yeah, so not all women were voicing their opinions. The advent of feminism, a lot of women just weren't speaking up because they were very used to really not speaking up. Now, I'm going to agree with you that, yeah, women could teach and stuff before, but it was frowned upon in society in a lot of times. I'm not going to go listen to a woman talk. Who wants to listen to a woman talk? Whereas now, Rachel, you can stand on stage with an entire room of people that absolutely love listening to you. You are influencing these people in a way that feminism has attributed you the right to do.
That's not true. I just got done debunking
Yeah.
that idea.
Let me finish my point. It's not just what the data shows, it's what the people's attitudes were. The men were the ones that were deciding what was happening. The men were saying to the women, oh, maybe you shouldn't have the vote. And the
men
vote.
are still the ones deciding what's happening. I wouldn't be able to do this right now without men. This microphone I'm holding was invented by a man. A man plugged this in. James is running this
And
whole
the woman
debate.
can do that,
This
right?
electricity, this technology, this building that we're sitting in is built by men and it's maintained by
So
men.
the
And women
advance of
cannot do that.
the advancement of super. Hold on.
I thought Craig objectively won this. I thought Craig was the one that won everyone over, huh? Well, maybe we haven't gotten to that yet. Maybe the part where he wins everybody over and everyone's chanting, Craig, Craig, Craig. Maybe that's a little bit later.
Who wrote the software that sent men to the moon?
Oh, women of color?
No. Who
They
cares
got
about
it
the
right.
color?
They got it right the first time, by the way,
No,
by hand.
Not who cares. Who cares about the color? I'm just in.
It was
wrote the software.
it was Craig was going to be going toward the woman of color. It turns out I'm predictable because I'm a predictable lefty atheist. Oh, well, okay, fine, carry on.
For a man to go to the moon, and they chose a woman to that because she was the best one to do it at the time. In fact, before we had computers like we call computers were usually women that were doing lots of math really, really quickly.
Computers were women. What did he? Did he just say computers were women? Maybe that's where Siri was based off of, huh? We used to go, oh, like Siri was an actual just woman. Hey Siri, go calculate me some formulas over there, and then the women would just go and just calculate. I want to make sure that's what he really said.
Really, really quickly. That was what a computer was.
So do you think those women?
In fact, before we had computers like we call computers were usually women that were doing lots of math really, really quickly.
He really did say that. He said that the computers were actually women. Actually, computers were women. Wow.
Quickly. That was what a computer was.
So do you think those women can build and maintain the infrastructure that allows us to have technology?
Absolutely they can. There's no reason why a woman could not use the tools that a man uses.
That's really weird because I've noticed this bizarre thing that feminism magically came about after the technological and industrial revolutions. Isn't it weird that we had thousands of years of history that women never dominated, feminism never came about? It's almost like we needed the industrial revolution and the technological revolution to produce technology that gave us this illusion that women are equal with men and that they can do everything a man can do. over 90% of infrastructure jobs are still held by men. And it's not because women haven't been pushed to do it. It's not because they can't, because they just want to do it and the evil misogynists are keeping them out. Number one, they can't. Physically, they cannot run oil rigs. They cannot pour concrete all day. They cannot do
Yes, they can.
roofing. They cannot.
Yes, they can.
Physically, they can't do those things for more, if
The
they can do
largest
them at
building group
all.
where I live in Fife is run by women, and the majority of their employees are women. And one of the
Wait,
most
what is
successful.
it? Say the
I live
first
in a
part.
place called Fife in Scotland.
Okay.
And the largest building group is a lot of their employees are women, and their CEO is a woman. Sorry.
Okay, who's putting up the
Their CEOs. Oh, they're all gold bosses over there.
steel beams? Who's laying the concrete?
the women that are doing the work using the tools?
Oh, they are?
There's no reason that a woman can't put some concrete into a thing, put it on to melt, and then pour it out. Tools allow you to do things. I was in the military, and I trained with lots of women that would go on the marches alongside me, and just be just as able to have endurance.
That's weird, because why don't we have any female Green Berets or Navy SEAls? After decades of them desperately trying to produce one, and they've still never been able to do it. Why do you think that is?
Because men are stronger,
Uh-huh.
and the standards to get in are based on you doing this, and men are not. I'm never going to deny the fact you are 100% right. Men are bigger and stronger.
Yes.
But we live in a world where now, maybe before, obviously to get things.
Dude, I'm waiting for the part where Craig wins everybody over. I mean, that's what Craig was just got done telling us. He objectively won. I'm still waiting.
Started, maybe we needed bigger men to make the machines in the first place. But now we live in a world where the machines already exist to make other
So
machines.
you agree
that
with
can make
me?
tools.
He agrees
Hold
with
on
me.
one second,
He
please.
just conceded that it was men who created
yeah,
technological advancements that even made it
Rachel,
possible
and
to
that's-
imagine that women could be
Rachel,
on par
that is
with
the
men.
point. That is
Thank
the
you.
beginning. That is where it started. But we live in a world now where it doesn't need to be just the men. A woman can do the job just as well as man if the tools are available.
So it's just tools.
Well, the tools exist now.
My tools.
And
So-
women can also make tools.
Have you ever seen the viral videos of men running oil rigs and going down into sewers and dealing with that sort of thing?
Are you
And
saying there's zero women that work on oil rigs?
there are almost zero women in the
Almost
hard
zero,
labor?
or are there zero?
It doesn't matter if there's an outlier.
Of course it matters, because
No,
if
it
you're
doesn't.
saying that women can't do
Because-
this job, that would mean that there has to be
Craig,
no
you're
women doing this
literally-
job. If there is women doing this job, then that means women are capable of doing this job.
He's doing the freaking meme where it's like, most women are 5'4". Yeah, but actually this woman over here is 5'6". It's like, well, that's an outlier, like that's an outlier, Craig. Just because there are like rare women that are able to do these jobs doesn't mean that in general women are just as capable as men at doing these jobs.
He's literally doing the meme where
Ha.
you say most women are shorter than men, and some woman goes, "But I'm 5'7" though, and I know a man that's 5'4". It's
Literally not what I'm saying. Your claim was that women.
I promise you, I did not see this debate before today. Great minds, right? How's it going, Dusty? For $5, feel the pockets of the Panelverse. Well, I will, Dusty. I will feel the pockets. Happy TG. I'm assuming that means Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Dusty. And thank you for your super chats. Very much appreciated.
Can't work on oil rigs. That was the word you said. I'm not misquoting you. You
they
said women.
can't. Women
Then
as
Rachel,
a group
why are there
cannot
women that work
do
on
what
oil
men
rigs?
can.
Why is there?
There aren't women that do the actual hard labor. Have
Are
you
you
seen
claiming
those
there is
guys, like,
zero? Right, Rachel,
pulling the
hold on.
300, 400-pound things? Have you ever seen
Rachel,
a woman
hold
lift a
on.
400-pound diesel engine and drop it
Rachel,
into a truck?
are you claiming there is no women in the world that do that job?
I'm claiming that women as a group cannot maintain.
No, Rachel, come on, stop avoiding
It's a
the
different
question.
claim. Don't straw man my
Is
claim.
there any women in the world that do
I'll
the
grant
job?
it. It doesn't matter, because what I'm saying
See,
is
she won't admit it. She won't admit
did,
that
I
women are
granted it.
able to do the job.
I
She's saying
granted
women are
that
incapable
maybe
of doing.
some women are. It has
Well, there
no
we go.
bearing. Because here's the question, Craig. Here's the question. Can women as a whole keep the infrastructure that maintains this modern
Thank you very much again for $5. Dusty, fuck the haters, though.
world going without men?
Yeah.
No, they can't.
Why not?
Well, you love science, right?
Yes.
So scientifically, let's think about this. If tomorrow all women disappeared from planet Earth and only men were left, how do you think people would do? Do you think that they could keep electricity going? They could keep food supply lines
Honestly, most men are pretty stupid, and we'd be dead in a few weeks without the women.
up? Wow.
Come on, every
okay.
husband here knows for a fact that their wife has kept them alive, and you can't.
Oh my gosh. Craig freaking going with that again. But thank you very much, Dusty. Goal. Yes, actually, thank you very much, Dusty. We have hit that first super chat goal here on the horizontal side. Thank you very much, brother. Very much appreciated. Just going to create a new goal real fast. Yeah, but thank you very much for your super chats, Dusty. Very much appreciated, brother.
And argue with me.
I didn't know I was debating like the final boss of Simps today, but
oh,
I'm not going to.
Oh, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the part where Craig changes our minds, where he won the whole room over. It doesn't sound like it. If anything, Rachel is just whipping his ass. Rachel is just whipping that ass. Those cheeks been getting clapped by Rachel in real time. This is amazing.
That I adore women.
I don't deny that I'm a simp. Okay, I don't deny it.
I see the value
I can tell.
I see the value and the power that women can have, but I in no way think women are above men.
So
And that's one thing I just want to.
let's ask the second part of the
give
question.
me one sec. Give me one sec.
Sure.
That's what I want to make clear. I am never going to claim that we should bow down to women and women should be in charge. I just think that women should be afforded, if they want to do these things, the opportunity and the ability and the rights to do it.
Well, they've had that for 100 years and they don't want to do it. Guess what? The women here don't want to do sewage treatment work.
Maybe these women don't, but there's some that do.
They don't want to pour concrete. They don't want to do cell phone tower maintenance where you're climbing,
Rachel, then why is there people that do that are women?
There aren't.
None at all.
It's a
and
tiny...
once again, she's...
Again, he's still doing the meme. There are barely any women that are 5'4". Yeah, but Rachel, there's that woman over there that's 5'6". It's like, come on, Craig, come on.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't, as we've said.
It doesn't matter. This is not
It doesn't matter. Pointing to an outlier does not mean that women as a group could maintain modern technical infrastructure.
Rachel,
I can't believe that a guy who believes in science is sitting here trying to get you all to believe that if men disappeared from the planet tomorrow, which is part 2 of my question, let me get it out. Part 2 of the question. All men disappear from planet Earth tomorrow.
Like 1 or 2 or 3 people laughed at that. I wonder if that's in his. I wonder if he saw like those 3 people laughing was like, oh look, see, I got them all to laugh at my jokes. I am winning them over. Craig winning over the people as we speak.
And it's only women. How long do you think people survive? How long do the lights stay on? How long do we have clean drinking water? How long do we have indoor plumbing? How long before buildings start collapsing, before elevators don't work? Because men are the ones that build and maintain these structures. Women, as a group, cannot and don't want to, but they cannot do it. It's not possible for women to do.
The world we live in now, with the tools that exist in the world that we live in now. Hold on, let me finish, Rachel, please. The tools already exist. And your question is, if they disappeared now, and right now, the tools exist. So if all the men disappeared right now, the women would pick up the tools the men were using and keep things going.
That is hilarious. I love that. So you think, and by the way, I am a...
Well, maybe that's why Andrew's into Rachel, huh? I heard he likes some thick. That's why he has that black ex-wife, huh? And little Tyrone Wilson running around everywhere.
Firearms instructor. I've trained women using firearms for years. And
pew pew.
Yeah, more than half of my female students do not have the hand strength to properly load a magazine and operate a semi-automatic pistol. I have to give them a revolver, something that's smaller, something their hand strength can handle. It usually takes me a good
That's a badly designed gun.
Huh?
It should be easy to load a gun. You shouldn't take that force.
Oh, it's spring loaded. Maybe you're not familiar. You were in the military.
So these I use an SA-80
magazines,
with the SA-80,
they take a
with
little bit of hand
SA-80,
strength.
one pullback, and anyone can do that.
The average male has like double the hand strength that a woman has.
And the guns exist that are easy to load.
Sure, and look, there's a reason why I tell women to train with them. Kind of equalizing force. It's really the only thing we've got.
Hold on.
But it's not enough.
Let me ask you a question.
To maintain, we're talking about maintaining the modern world, and if I'd love for you to tell me how tomorrow, just because the tools exist, women are going to start building steel buildings. They're going to start laying concrete. They're going to start doing infrastructure jobs where you have to be able to lift hundreds of pounds.
Why would they not? Do you not know that exoskeletons are a thing? Right? You are posing it. You are positing it
He wants to give women exoskeletons. If we just give all the women robot suits, then they'll be fine. Then they won't need us men.
in a very specific way. If they disappeared now, we live in a world now where women can use tools to make them a lot stronger than they ever were.
I just want to jump in. Folks, if you're in the audience, I need you to, if you're going to say something to a friend, I need you to whisper it as quietly as possible, because I can hear from both sides. Some folks that are talking to a friend, and I can hear it as if it's at a normal volume. I need you to whisper it, or ideally.
James laying down the law. Thank you very much. Make Australia great again. For Tyrone. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat, brother. Yes, for Tyrone indeed.
Don't do it at all. Just so we can hear the speakers. Go ahead.
Sorry, what was I saying?
You were telling me how the strong, independent women are going to start laying concrete and doing roofing tomorrow because tools.
Well, do you agree that the tools exist that allow people to do these jobs?
The tools exist that allow men to do those jobs.
Why could women not use those tools?
You don't put a jackhammer in Rachel's hand and she can suddenly operate it. I weigh.
So is there
140
any women
pounds?
that can use jackhammers?
There might be some woman somewhere. Do you think that there are enough
I know women specifically that use jackhammers.
So if let's here's a good analogy to try to help you understand this. I don't know what's not computing. Let's imagine that we're trying to maintain populations and only 1% of women can give birth. Do you think we're going to maintain the population, or do you think we need far more than 1% of women to be able to do that in order to maintain it on a systemic level? It's the same thing with infrastructure. Just because you have one or two butch-ass chicks who can maybe do some of these things for a limited amount of time, you would never keep thousands of cities running. You would never keep nuclear power plants and oil rigs and sewage treatment plants going if only women had to run them. You need men for modern civilization. So again, this is all an illusion. The illusion women have that they're equal with men is built on the premise that this stuff just appeared here. These lights just appeared. This microphone I have the tool. The tool is here. We see this in certain places where we go to give tribal people modern tools. We give them water. We give them wells. And then when the people who give it to them leave, they cannot maintain it. They don't have the IQ, or they don't have the prerequisite skills to maintain what you've given them. It would be the same thing. And it's even if you have tools, they still require strength. Like I said, diesel engines, there's jobs that require multiple big, strong dudes with big, huge tools to build giant skyscrapers, to put sewer pipes into the ground. Like these big infrastructure jobs, women, it's just a fact of physics, and you're supposed to be a science and evidence guy.
Yeah, but Rachel, you're just saying that women can't do that.
They can't.
But there is women. There is women that do that. But there's also
dude, he keeps going to the exceptions. He thinks that because there are some women that can do it, therefore, like that's the only thing that he has. It's the only thing he has, and it's not working out for him. Rachel's here making all these great points, but according to Craig, he was the one making all the good points. But the only one I hear making good points is Rachel. And all he has is, well, listen, because there's one woman that could do it, therefore.
It matter if there's also 3 women. You think Sally is going to just maintain the world on her own? Sally and Karen, the two that can theoretically do this?
Let's switch it over to Craig.
Thank you. So there's weak men as well as weak women. But there is more than enough women in the world.
That's always their go-to too. Well, you think all men can do it? It's like, yeah, no. There are weak men, yes. There are old men who obviously don't have the strength, and then there are, young, weak men too. So yes, forced doctrine applies not just to women, but also to some men too.
That are capable of holding a jackhammer and moving trucks and loading things and using tools and conveyor belts and everything. There is more than enough women in the world that are smart enough and capable enough to use the tools that already exist to keep it going. You are just saying, I don't think women are strong enough to ever do this. You've got no data to back up that women can't do this. The fact that women do these jobs, even if it is an outlier.
Ryan or folks, if you can turn your phones off and keep the audience down.
Yeah. The fact that women do these jobs that you are saying women can't do just disproves you. Yes, there's less of them. Maybe a lot of them don't want to do it, but some do. And that's what feminism is. Feminism is saying that you have to do this job. Feminism is saying that if you want to and you're able to, go on then.
Craig,
Go on then. But that's not the truth, though. There has been this active push to push the idea of the girl boss, the CEOs, the science, the tech and science women, and all this stuff. There is an active push to push more and incentives to push women into these fields. It's not just, oh, it's open now to women who want to or who are able to. No, there's an active campaign to push women into these fields. Even with becoming a police officer, they've had to lower the standards to get more female cops on there. And we see videos of how that's not really working out too well. And so, no, it's not just, oh, it's just opening up a door that any women that are capable of doing it are now able to do it. No, it's now we need to lower standards so we can actually have more women doing it. Otherwise, it's sexist. So that's disingenuous whenever these lefties say that.
the best argument you're making today is that I, as a woman, am better at understanding logic and physics than you, a scientist man. Like, that's your best argument. And the one that makes me feel like maybe you got me is the fact that I'm here with my blonde hair, looking like a bimbo, and understanding these very simple concepts better than a man who.
Craig being a little overly complimentive of Rachel's looks, huh? Craig, you're married, bro. You're married. Put those eyeballs back in your head.
Debates scientifically for a living. You're actually sitting here trying to argue against physics and biology. You think men and women are equal and can do the same things? You think they have the same levels of strength, they have the same capacity? Or is it that, just one sec, because even if a couple women are stronger than men and a couple men are weaker than women, on average, that does not negate the whole, which is that on average, almost all men are stronger than almost all women. Just because you can point to an outlier doesn't prove your case. And as a guy who debates flat earthers, you should know this. And I know that you know it. So I don't even think you're being serious.
Your claim that there aren't enough women to do these jobs is, there's no data to back that up. So maybe right now, not a lot of women,
is data to back it up.
Maybe right now, not a lot of women do those jobs, but if those jobs were needed because there is no men left, women would do it, and they would use the tools, and they would go, right, so I'm strong, maybe I should go and do that because that would be good for society right now because we need to keep the oil plants running.
Okay, here's a question. Let's say we do that. Let's say all the women take over all the infrastructure jobs. It's kind of like evolution, I guess, where it just, you have enough time. If you have enough time, just excessive amounts of time, and somehow women are going to become men. It just changes into something else because time. Maybe it's like that. But let's say this happens. Let's say that women become strong enough to make.
Now he's trying to act like he doesn't believe in evolution. Huh? What? What are you talking about? That's crazy. Evolve? What? Huh?
Maintain the infrastructure that allows them to get strong enough to maintain the infrastructure. What happens to the birth rate?
If there's only women.
If women are maintaining the infrastructure, we just say, look, men, you've done enough. Just sit down and rest, kick up your feet. We've got this. We're going to take it from here.
But that's not what feminism is.
We do the Rosie the Riveter. We're like, we've got this. We're going to take care of the infrastructure. We've got this. Don't worry about it. Just sit back. You can take care of the kids. So we already see now that birth rates are falling below replacement levels. And the number one correlate worldwide, regardless of economics, regardless of race, country, anything, is women's access to higher education and their participation in the workforce. In other words, when you tell women, go work all day long, they don't want to have a bunch of kids. So if the women are maintaining the infrastructure, who births the babies? Who's going to raise them and breastfeed them and get pregnant and do?
Illegal immigrants, Mexican, little Lupita. Little Lupita can take care of the children.
All the labor and delivery.
So, right, yes, there is a fall in birth rates pretty much around the world at the moment. But the interesting thing is that the fall in birth rates also applies to countries that are extremely men, or countries that have nothing to do with feminism. A lot of those countries, the birth rates are also falling. So to claim that the fact that birth rates are falling is due to feminism ignores the fact that birth rate is also falling in countries where feminism is non-existent.
Well, I have a study here in my phone I can pull up.
I have several as well.
I have a bunch. They did a huge study.
I got more than you.
They had a huge study in China. China's this big emerging global superpower, and they did a big study there. And they found there that the number one correlate to lower birth rates is women's access to education and work. this makes total sense. There were things that contributed to falling birth rates before that, like the birth control pill and other, you know, contraceptive methods, and then widespread acceptance and legalization of abortion. But that doesn't even account for the further drop we've seen in the decades since that then. And what it is NGOs going in around the world to places like Africa, to places like Asia, and pushing women's liberation there, pushing women to school. So this is another thing that we've done. We've subsidized women's education, and we've pushed them into going to college around the world and told them, you can't have a good life without college. Children are a ball and chain. They're going to hold you back. They're going to be bad for you and make you vulnerable to abuse. So you need a college education. You have to go to work instead. And when we do that, what we see is women don't have babies. Why? It's super intuitive. If you're spending your fertile years going to college and building a career, you're not going to have kids. If you do have kids, you're going to wait until you're in your 30s or later. So the average age a woman has her first child now in this country is close to 30. It used to be 20. And we're seeing maternal mortality rates go up in the modern world for the first time since we discovered germ theory and antibiotics, because women are waiting until they're in their late 30s or 40s to have babies, at which point it becomes more dangerous. The risk to the mother and to the child and birth defects all go up. So this is ass backwards, stupid stuff to do if you want to maintain a civilization. You don't tell women to spend their fertile years pursuing higher education, which, by the way, I think like 80% of the field of psychology degrees are held by women. So all they do is the same stuff they've always done. If you look at the jobs in 1920 that women held and the jobs that women hold now, the top 20 jobs are almost exactly the same. We do early childhood care, we do nursing, we're retail workers, we're secretaries, and then there's like psychology and interior design and a lot of other fluffy stuff. And the only thing that changed was we swapped farm labor for HR work. So I don't know about you, but I think that we would rather have mothers producing babies so that human beings can continue to exist, rather than just more HR ladies and psychologists.
Well, women can do both. Women can have babies and have jobs.
It's that narrative. That's the narrative that they keep pushing. That's like, no, they can't. They do it all. How's it going, Em? I'll top. But yeah, there's like, well, they could do both. No, they can't. Women are already complaining. You see all the videos online where women are like, oh, I come home, I go to work, and then I come home, and my husband doesn't want to do shit. I have to do it all. And they're bitching and whining about it. Women don't want to do both.
My wife has worked most of her life. We had babies when 22 and 27. And she stopped work, went back to work, and there was no problem.
Oh, so your wife stayed home to take care of your kids when she had to, and then went back to work when they were a little grown and stuff. Yeah, gee. Even if it were true what you're saying, Craig, again, you're one person out of, we're talking about majority. We're talking about generalities, not the special cases.
I do agree with you that there's a falling rate of births. Now, here's a great thing. I am currently scripting a video which is basically debunking the claim that more babies equals better, because evolution would necessarily disagree with that claim.
Rachel's like, of course it does. Evolution. Now all of a sudden he knows what evolution is. Listen, I'm going to end it right there. You guys can watch the full debate on Modern Day Debates channel. I just wanted to see this because, again, Craig, at the beginning, he painted this picture that he won over everybody. He objectively won the debate. He had to force her to change her positions. In reality, I think the opposite was happening. I think she did that to him. She's the one that had everyone in the palm of her hand. She was the one that won this debate objectively. But, you know, Craig, he has to live in his own little world where he's the victor. And at the end of this debate, apparently everyone put him on his shoulders and was like, Craig. So, yeah, I just wanted to watch that with you guys. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy that video? I hope you did. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, or else you're gay. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I'm just trying to save you from sin. Also, make sure you catch the Cool Stream live Mondays through Fridays right here on my YouTube channel. And make sure you follow me at any of these links down below for everything Cool Vic.